Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Eslöv here in Skåne in southern Sweden. So this is another of my fairly local craft breweries here. For this one we are going to return to Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri. I think this is review number 4 or 5 from these guys, and we're having a taste of one of their new beers. This one was only released on the 1st of May through the local selection in Systembolaget. So this one's called the Sweet Hoof. It's a British style milk stout apparently at 6.2%, and it's hopped with Columbus. So it should be a really interesting beer, this one. I have actually tried this before at the Malmö Öl och Whiskey Festival where I was with my friend Andreas from Ölresan. We went up to the Remmarlöv stand and spoke to Hampus, the head brewer, for a little bit. Very, very nice guy, by the way, and he gave us a glass of this to try, which was really it was nice at the time. I remember thinking it was nice, but in honesty, there was quite a few beers and whiskies consumed that day, so it is kind of it is a little bit hard to remember exactly how some of these beers came across. I do remember it being nice, but I don't remember all that much about the beer itself. But it was really cool to talk to Hampus, of course, and he has agreed that it will be in a sort of Meet the Brewer video at some point later, so you can look forward to that at some point in the fairly near future. A very nice guy, and it is cool to be able to review his beers, especially when there's some of my kind of local Skånsk beer. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri before. This is review number 4 or 5 from them, and I will do more in the near future, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one for all the Swedish beers that are reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri then. So as the name would suggest, Gård of course in Swedish, Danish and I believe Norwegian as well, it means farm. This brewery are based on a farm just outside of Eslöv to the north of me here in Lund in Skåne in southern Sweden. I think it's about 30 kilometres or so away, but they've been brewing here since the winter and autumn of 2014, and in January of 2015 they got their beers into Systembolaget. If you're watching from abroad, of course, Systembolaget is the government alcohol stores that we have here in Sweden. If it's over 3.5%, it has to be sold in the government alcohol stores rather than the supermarket. But the owner of the company is Håkan Nilsson, and together he and his wife Michelle started the plan for a brewery a couple of years back, and the brewery is located on their family farm, of course. Håkan is actually the 5th generation of his family to work in the countryside here in Skåne. But the old barn was renovated and they installed a brew house of 1,500 litres, and Hampus Olofsson was hired back in August 2014, having previously worked for Malmö Brewing Company, who produce some really good beers as well actually, but they don't bottle them. It always frustrates me when I think about Malmö Brewing Company, but from what I understand they have expanded their capacity a little bit and they always seem to be producing some new beers. Hampus says, of course, that they like to produce the American styles of beer because that's what they enjoy drinking themselves, and they produce quite a few organic beers actually, and probably the highlight from this brewery is either their Christmas beer, which if I remember is called the Red Slope. There is one called the Red Slope and one called the Red Carol. There's one called that's an Imperial Red that is really, really nice. That's a really, really nice beer, and they also have their local hops as well, where they brew beer with a nice kind of Magnum hop that's made locally here in Skåne, and that's a really interesting one to try as well. But they do some really good beers, and if you get the chance, I do recommend you check out this brewery. It's definitely a brewery on the rise. I don't think they've quite got where they want to be yet, but they are still doing some really interesting stuff. So show Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri some support if you get the chance, and like I say, Hampus is a really nice guy. So check out all the stuff for them in the description below, and you can check out my other reviews as well. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open this one up. There you can see the typical Remmarlöv style. Usually they're actually kind of green. Some of them do have different colour schemes depending on what the beer is. The symbol of this brewery, of course, is the little chicken, and you can see at the bottom here, made in Skåne. There, of course, is the standard Remmarlöv bottle cap on this one. It tells you a little bit on the side. So the Sweet Hoof milk stout brews med stora portioner roasted corn och chokladmalt som ger en rik smak av kaffe och dark chocolate. So the Sweet Hoof milk stout is brewed with big portions of roasted corn and chocolate malt that give a strong taste of coffee and dark chocolate. Den fylliga sötman från laktos balanserar upp den rosten malten. So basically, yeah, the boldness or the fullness of the sweetness from the lactose balances up the roasted malt. So yeah, just a little description on there, but it should be really nice. It says Sukkanu, which I don't know if that's batch number 1322, but yeah, this one's a 330ml bottle, 6.2%, and it's hopped with Columbus, of course, which gives you some really nice red fruity notes when you use it in dark beer. So yeah, it doesn't actually have a best before date on this one, which is unusual. Usually they use the little thing on the side, but it doesn't seem to have, oh no, it does have some markings there. It's best before the January of 2018. So yeah, it should be a really nice beer, this one, and without further ado then I guess we'll get it out and into the glass. So yeah, nice little smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out. But yeah, like I was saying, Hampus will probably be on a sort of meet the brewer video at some point. I'll maybe go out to Eslöv and have a little look at his brewery. It'd be really cool to do a wee interview and stuff with him and chat about the beer scene in Skåne and his brewing experience and stuff. So yeah, you can look forward to that. But as you can see, this beer's poured a really nice kind of dark ebony rosewood colour. There was a half finger of a frothy beigey tan head there, but that one's fading away. I can get a nice kind of roasted malt and lactosey aroma just as I go fairly close to the beer. But if I hold this up to the light, it's actually the only thing that makes this beer look as dark as it is the colour, if that makes sense. It's actually quite transparent. There's not really much of a hazy character to this one at all. When I hold it up to the light, it does have a really kind of nice ruby edge to it. It's almost like a dark kind of Coca-Cola colour with a nice ruby edge to it. But overall, it looks like a really nice beer. Some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up to the bottom where the head should be. You can see it's pretty much completely faded actually. So there's not really much head to this one at all, but it looks very, very nice. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah, so there's an earthy hop character to this one kind of underpinning it, and on top of that you can smell a little bit of the kind of roasted corn malts in there too. So earthy hops and roasted corn malt kind of just underpinning this one. You can smell a lot of the chocolatey sweetness in there. I'm not really getting any brown sugars from this one. Definitely kind of sweet, sort of milky chocolate. That'll be the lactose coming out, of course. And there's a wee bit of sharpness, like a kind of red fruity ester coming out of this beer too. You can smell just a little bit of that. It's sort of figgy, but at the same time it's a little bit sharper and kind of, yeah, it's a little bit sharper and a little bit sort of maybe raisiny. I think raisins and figgy. Raisins and figs are probably the best descriptors for the kind of red fruit character that's coming out of this one. But for me, mainly the aroma is leaning towards that milky character, which is a milk stout, you would expect that. And there's a little bit of that roasted malt coming out of there as well, but it's a really quite nice smelling beer, this one. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you actually try it for yourself. That's half the experience when it comes to craft beer. But yeah, really nice kind of sweetness to this one. And the earthy hops and the sort of roasted malty character give you an interesting backbone as well. So just take a little bit of time, but let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Sweet Hoof, a 6.2% British style milk stout from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri in Eslöv here in Skåne in southern Sweden. You can see my Malmö Öl whiskey glass in this one as well. So this beer has been in this glass twice. Skål! That's pretty nice actually, yeah. It's very smooth and very easy drinking. That's the first thing you're going to notice with this beer. And what I would say about this one is it's not too punchy in any one regard. It's just a nice kind of easy drinking beer. It's the sort of one that would go nicely with a sort of with some nice vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce or something like that. That's what you would want to drink this beer with. It's not too punchy in any one regard. It's all about how the flavours kind of blend together. So just bear that in mind if you try this one. This is a really nice beer. I mean, like I said, not too punchy in that regard, but for a fairly low alcohol content, 6.2% ABV, they've done a nice job with this, and it's got a good little bit of complexity to it as well. Of course, as I always say with these dark beers, sugar them around your palate a little bit and just let the whole mouth adjust to the flavour of this one. So underneath you can detect a little bit of that roasted black malt in there. You can just feel that underpinning the beer. On top of that, there's just this blanket of lactosey, milky character. That really kind of balances out the roasty character the beer has. You can feel it just pushing its way out a little bit later on in the aftertaste, but it is straight up. It's a sweet stout, and it really does lean towards that kind of milky side of things. Yeah, there is almost a little bit of brown sugary character to this one. You can feel a little bit of that just in the middle of the palate, but mainly there's a sort of breadiness underneath it. There's a little bit of that kind of there's a little bit of that, just that, it's not quite vanilla-y, but that just milky, chocolatey character. The chocolate in this one, it's just really milk chocolate that absolutely dominates the flavour in this one, but there is a little bit of brown sugar in there, although they haven't added caramel malt and stuff like that to this one as far as I know. But it's nice. There's almost just a teeny little bit of nutty character. As you move further and further into the aftertaste, there is just this kind of almost undertone of slightly nutty, maybe even very slightly woody character coming out of this one as well. But definitely the flavour, as you would expect from a milk stout, is dominated by that nice smooth lactosey character and the kind of milky chocolate aspects that go with that one. So in the back corners of the palate, there's a nice sort of earthy hop note to this one. There's a little bit of bitterness there in the back corners of the palate. As you come further forward, it smooths out, and there's just a little bit of grassiness around the very front curve of the tongue too. So it's really just nice how everything in this beer blends together. There's a little bit of juicy fruity character too. If you just go behind the front curve of your tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble where these nice kind of slightly reddish fruity esters come out. Yeah, so it's a kind of candied red fruity ester, this one. If you just go behind the front curve of the tongue, you'll feel that, and it's just that sort of that red fruity character that I always talk about. It reminds me of the little heart-shaped sweets in the Haribo Star Mix. There's maybe a little bit of figginess to it as well, but mainly it's that sort of kind of candied red fruit thing. But that blends into the beer really nicely as well, and it goes with this nice chocolatey kind of milky thing as well. The lingering aspects in the aftertaste of this one is a bit of the earthy hop and that sweet chocolatey milk, and just a little bit of that red fruity character. I think that's a good way to sum this beer up. So like I said, overall, it's not too punchy in any one aspect of its flavour. Like, it's not overly sweet, it's not overly bitter, it's just all about how the flavours blend together. It's a nice kind of easy drinking, easy going milk stout, this one, if you would like, or sweet stout. And I think this would go really well with some nice vanilla ice cream actually. So if you get to try this beer, that's probably a good kind of food pairing note for you. But overall, in terms of the mouthfeel with this one, I would say it is mid-bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth. It's got quite a sort of silky smooth mouthfeel to it, a little bit kind of creamy. There's a little tiny bit of bitterness from the hops, but very, very minimal. The malt base is quite sweet and quite smooth, and there's just a little bit of that kind of roasty character coming out as well, but very, very minimal. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip of the beer, and I'm just getting a little bit of it coming out now. And like I said, a little bit of juicy fruit, just a little bit of bitterness, a lot of sweet malts, and just a little bit of roastiness too. But overall, it's a nice beer, this one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. What I would say about this is the sort of beer that would really suit being conditioned on the casks, these old pool casks that we have back in Scotland. So that would be something that would be cool to see if they could do that at some point in the future. But overall, it's a nice, smooth, easy drinking milk stout that I reckon would go quite nicely with some ice cream too. As far as I know, this is the first stout beer they've actually released as well, so if this is their first stout that they're putting out there, then it's they've done a pretty good job with it, so hopefully they experiment with some of the kind of bigger imperial stouts and stuff like that a little bit later on. That would be really cool to see. But yeah, as I say, it's always cool to return to my local breweries, and Hampus has done a nice job with this one as well. So yeah, if you get the chance to try this, I recommend you do. I would, if it's Christmas time as well, check out the Red Slope and the Red Carol. I think the Red Slope is the stronger one. The Red Carol, I think, is the Scotch ale. But both of their winter beers are really nice, and generally this is a good brewery that you should have a look at as well. So yeah, Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri in Eslöv here in Skåne in southern Sweden. They've got a really nice milk stout here. So yeah, thank you for watching my beer reviews once again. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer if you've tried it in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers from Remmarlöv are, of course, as well. It's always interesting to hear from you guys. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media and make sure you try some of these Remmarlöv beers. It's always cool to review these scones for you, and I will return with more in the very near future. Make sure you check out this beer, and I will catch you guys very soon. Slán just now.